Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Miss Gabby. I'm so excited to be coming to you this afternoon to show you something really cool to make, part of our Facebook Live series. Miss Allie and Miss Rachel did such a great job showing you some different things to make today, like the self-portrait Picasso and the wands that Miss Rachel did. They were so cool, so I hope that everybody really enjoyed those, and we are so excited to see how everybody did and what they're making. So I'm really excited to show you the different things that you can use to make your own book today. There's a wide variety of things you can use this for. So today what you're going to need is some cardboard, which I have loads. And I think since everyone kind of is doing a lot of online shopping, it's nice to have like all these extra pieces of cardboard around for some art projects. And what else you'll need today is some yarn or any type of thread or rubber bands or anything to help tie our book together. So anything that you have lying around, or like Miss Rachel suggested too, like a piece of, like plastic paper bag would be really cool. And just as useful as like thread or twine. Next, you will need some plain white paper. So if you have like any 8.5 by 11 sheets, this would work perfectly. It's really cool because you can use any kind of sized paper to make your book, but today we're going to make this certain size book. So you'll need about 10 sheets of white paper. Next you'll need is some scissors, which I have here, some craft paper, also like construction paper, any decorative paper or anything like that too, just like you see on my cover. You can kind of see that here. Anything that you have lying around, or I also do suggest if you want to use just like some white paper and make your own design or anything, I do really highly recommend doing that. And you have a pencil, a ruler, a hole puncher to make your holes to help tie your book together. If you don't have one, like a thumbtack will work, or you can have an adult help you with some scissors or a knife. That could be really helpful. But if you don't have a hole puncher lying around, like just a single hole punch. And a glue stick or white glue, obviously to glue together your book designs or anything like that. So how we're going to start off today is, we're just going to take some cardboard and we're going to cut it down to the size of the book that we want to make. So, it's really great because you can kind of figure out a different size or however like kind of size of a book you want to make, that's for sketching or just like a photography book or, writing, like anything you want to write your journal in or something like that. But today what we're making is a 4.5 by 5.5 book. So I already cut down a lot of my cardboard. Obviously an adult will help you if you cannot do it, but it's sometimes nice. A lot of cardboard is pretty thin, so it's easy to cut through. So it's great because you can just use the ruler to measure out what you need. So like 4.5 by 5.5. So obviously my 5.5 is going to be along this side here, as I'm going to make a mark here, if you can see that, and then on the other side as well. And sometimes our cardboard might not be big enough. So this one is under just like 4.5 inches, which is okay. And what we'll do, we'll just go ahead and cut it. And we want to make in it an identical piece. And you can take your time, and a cardboard can be a little bit difficult to work with. So, and then you can just use that kind of like as your template, and you see those line up pretty easily there. And you can just put your scraps to the side. I love using my pencil when I'm using kind of a template to go ahead and just trace along there, just so it makes it easier for me to cut my line for this next cover. So we have that there. So there, and I will just put all of my scraps right to the side. I like to put my scraps right into a pile so it'll be an easy cleanup. And I already have my actual boards pre-cut for us. That was just showing you how to measure and use the template. I love using, one thing as a template throughout my bookmaking. So that's really great. So next we're going to move on to our sheets of paper. So I said to grab 10, and this is just like a standard size, usually for your printer or anything like that, or even like a drawing paper. But what we're going to do is we're going to fold all of our sheets of paper hamburger style. So all of them will be folded. I do suggest doing them one by one, so it does take a little bit of time, and you do want to take your time because you know this is like a lovely meditative practice, just like the mandalas. But what we're going to do is after we hamburger fold all of them, we're just going to go ahead and cut them right all in half. So then what you're going to come up with is you're going to have 20 of these smaller sheets of paper, which is really beneficial because then you'll have more pages in your book. So everyone can go ahead and do that. You know, even to pause the video, they can do that too and, you know, follow along after. But just for the sake of the video, I'm going to go ahead and just move on. So after you have 20 sheets of these, you're going to go ahead and fold each piece again, also hamburger style. So you know everybody, like that's hamburger and this is hot dog. So hamburger style, and you want to just make sure, like I said, to take your time, just line up each corner, each page. And what's helpful to you, if you want to take like the back of your scissors, you can go ahead and just kind of make that nice crease line there. I love doing that and make sure that that fold is definitely definite. So you'll see that. And so then you'll have 20 separate sheets here, which I have already pre-folded, and you can see all of that. And sometimes it's okay if your papers like do not line up, if they're all like a little bit of a different size. You know, that's what's so lovely about like a handmade book, and you know, you can color your own, so it's going to be okay that you know, not all of them line up. But if you do want them to line up, you know, you can be a little more careful with cutting, or just trim them down if you'd like. So what we're going to do next is we're going to want to make our holes. And obviously our holes are going to want to be in the same position on our cardboard and on our pages. So we're going to measure out, and I'm going to use this piece of paper as my template. And I already said like my template, you know, for like cutting the cardboard. So like I said, I love using templates. You know, and it's, you want to make 3 holes, and we'll just measure out where we're going to want those holes. So like, you know, I usually like to start right at the half, so like half of 5 1/2 is like 2 3/4. So I'll make a mark there, and you can see how big I made that mark so everyone can see. And then just like half of that, you know, I'll just, you know, I can do maybe just like 1 inch from the side here. And it's, you know, taking your time too and really measuring that out as well. So this is going to be the template of where my holes will go on each page, like each separate piece of paper, and also for my covers. So what I'm going to do here now is, if you have your hole puncher or your thumbtack or something, you know, to be careful obviously with hole punching, and you want to be away from the edge, you know, like probably like 1/4 of an inch away from the edge, pretty far in. And you know, you see here how I made the hole. And if you accidentally punch it too close to the folded edge here, you know, that just might not make a hole. It might just tear eventually, and that's something that we don't want. But it's okay if you make the mistake, because it's just all about learning and trying new things. So it's really fun and fun to explore. So I'm just going to go ahead and quickly hole punch those. So now I have the 3, and this will be my template for all of my other pages here. So you know, you want to do you want to hole punch your punches on the folded edge here. So just to go a little bit quicker, I'm just going to hole punch a few at a time. And sometimes it might be a little too difficult to hole punch through all that paper. Usually I just do like 3 or 4 pages at a time. But that's my template, and you know, I always suggest making one to kind of work along with the whole book, just because it's going to be easier for you, and you'll definitely make sure that everything is lined up. So I'm just going to continue on. And this would be nice for like an adult to be helping you with too, if you know the hole punching is just a little difficult, or even with like the thumbtack, or you know, like a safety pin or a push pin or something of the sort. But you see how I'm kind of then just placing them right on top of one another, and you can kind of see that they're all still continuing to line up, which is exactly what we want, because we want our book to to line up and not be all over the place. So, you know, if you need to pause the video, you can do that too, to take your time and to just continue to follow along. But I'm almost done here. Here's my last set of pages. And you see I'm just remembering that I'm punching along the folded edge here. And if you see any of the scraps falling out of your hole punch, or if you end up having like a lot of scraps here, remember that I have a little scrap pile that I'm kind of joining everything in so I can throw away properly later. Just so we're keeping everything clean and at a controlled mess. So now I'm gonna hole punch my covers. So even if you want to beforehand decorate your cover before you hole punch, here in this example I decorated after after I hole punch, but if you want to go ahead and pause, it's really great. You can use your construction paper to decorate or anything like that, or even magazines are really great to decorate. And I do have some stickers. I was going to do that just right after. And so now I'm going to hole punch my cardboard. So the cardboard definitely will be a little bit tougher to go through, depending on how thick it is. But that was pretty easy there for me. And I'm going to go ahead and do that to the other one as well. You can kind of see here, I just lined them up a little. See, this might be a little too thick for me to do with using the cardboard as the template. So I'm just going to go back to my paper. Oops. And hole punch that there. You see, and sometimes it might fall out of line, but you know, you're just holding everything pretty still with your other hand there to hole punch it all together. So you see now, once everything kind of gets on top of one another, I know it's kind of a little bit crisscrossed depending on how everything fell, but you can kind of see through each of those holes. And what's really great is that your covers, obviously there's the front cover, and here will be the back cover. So all of them, you want to make sure that they do line up here, and you can see through pretty much all of it. And so the next thing you want to do, you want to put this off right to the side, is we want to cut your thread or your yarn or your twine to tie the book off. So you see, you know, there's a lot of different like threading techniques in bookmaking, and what I decided to do here is I just cut 3 separate ties to tie the book together. And I'm just gonna find my end here. There it is. And I cut, I believe, I cut 3 5-inch threads. So I'm gonna go ahead and use my ruler here and cut some thread, some yarn, you know, but I kind of want to use this thread, so I'm gonna go ahead and use this one. And like, you can just go ahead and use this, like I'm gonna say again, a template is using this just to follow along with, you see here, to use the thread. And this one's a lot thinner. Sometimes the yarn might be too thick to go through the holes, you know, but that's why you want to make sure that you're lining up everything together. So I'm going to then take my, you know, everything is pulled together and you can see the hole right through it. And what I'm going to do is just thread the entire piece of yarn through this hole to come out the other side. And sometimes it might be just a little difficult to do with both covers on. So I just took the back cover off here, and oops, see, you just gotta take your time. And you see I threaded it through that side. And this also doesn't matter if you have all this on your cardboard, it's okay, because we can just go ahead and cover that up with whatever we're gonna design it with. So you know, you're threading here. You can kind of see how I did that. And this is super important. You do not want to tie it too tight. Like, you don't want to pull the book too tight, because then you won't be able to open your book for whatever you're using it for. So you kind of want to just tug it a little bit and then tie it loosely. You know, you want it to be a little tight, but not too tight. So you kind of can see that, how I did that here. I did one knot. Usually I would like to do a double knot or tie a nice little bow. But for this, I'm just gonna tie a double knot for this one. And here we go. Tied the double knot. And gonna continue on with doing the next ones. Usually I like to do it in order, but I'm gonna do the top and the bottom first. So you see that here. That one was easy for me to kind of put the thread through all the holes. See, and there's that one. And then this one you wanna see kind of, it's nice and loose. If you do want it a little tighter, you can retie the string, cut some new string if you kind of messed it up, and that's okay, because you're kind of learning what you really like here in this project. So there I'm gonna thread through that last hole here and gonna double knot this one. I'll tie this one just a little bit tighter, just so it's not that loose when we're opening and kind of showing it off. So you see here, and there I have it, is a tied off book. And you can kind of see the different feel that it gives with a thinner thread compared to the yarn. You know, and it's all about personal preference or what you really have available or what color. You know, it's fun to play with if you want to do different colors. So now this is going to be the really great part, is the decorating of the covers. So I'm going to just put these things to the side that are not needed. So, you know, you can have all these different construction papers. I have a few different colors here. And if you're doing like a specific design, or, you know, you just kind of are covering them with stickers or different magazines, you know, like there's endless things that you can do with your covers and, you know, designs and however you want to do. It's whatever you have available. But just to keep it simple, I will probably just go ahead and use some of these red ones that I cut already. I cut there for the corners, and some of these fun little metallic ones. So this is where your glue stick will come into play. You know, obviously we want to make sure that we're being nice and clean with everything that we're doing, and using a glue stick or white glue. But it's nice because if you want to do an entire page cover here, you know, you can measure it out, or using the cover as a template, just go ahead and trace that. You can even open the book here like this. And I will just leave it off so it doesn't cover the holes too much. And I'm gonna go ahead and just trace here like that. So you have here, so it's gonna be the exact shape of my actual book cover. So I'm gonna go ahead and just take the scissors and slowly follow the line that I made and how I trace that cover. So I picked this like really nice, like kind of grayish color. So here we are. And what I'm gonna do, I like to, just so I know that I'm gonna get it across, you know, the book cover, then actually everything that is going to be touching the paper is just getting it all across there. So you see, and right away when I'm done using the glue stick, usually I do it every time, it's just placing the cover back right back on. And, you know, I can use the template again the same way to make one for the back cover. But when I'm gluing, I make sure I put a lot of pressure on what I just glued, just to make sure that it's going to stick. So you see this here. Looks pretty good. So you can decide if you want to continue with that same color on the back, or just keeping it a different color or changing it entirely. You know, so I did a couple different things here that we can try. Is I made some corner pieces. So I'm gonna just go ahead and take that, stick some of the glue right on this corner piece, and here we go. Is add that here. And you wanna make sure that if you're getting glue on your hands, not to transfer it to anything else. So if you wanna have, like, you know, a wet cloth or a damp cloth or anything right next to you while you're working is super nice. Don't wipe anything on your pants. You know, we have like napkins and things like that. And here we are. We'll do this one. I think I'm just gonna do it on the two corners here. So, you know, it's kind of moving, so we wanna make sure that's gonna dry. But you kind of see that here. And I'm not gonna go ahead and finish the other side because I think you get the idea. I would love to see if anyone else is working on a book or have been inspired to make a book or a different technique of some sort or a different size. But what's really great is you can use this for drawing, you know, adding photos. I brought some photos over here, like some of my grandma, that these will fit into perfectly, and you know, I can write anything next to it, things like that. I can add my mandalas, so it's like a little mini sketchbook. What's really great too is you can even gift this to somebody if someone needs a little bit of inspiration or something in their life. These are great little gifts to make. You know, I love making books. I make a lot of different kind of books, and so yeah. So now definitely before you finish is cleanup. So remember I was talking about keeping the cap on your glue stick, you know, all the extra scraps. I have a whole pile here of extra scraps. I'll probably keep this cardboard because I can make a book out of this shaped cardboard, or even if you want to keep these little dots as a design, you know, for a decorative cover or something like that, you can do that as well. But I'm just gonna, you know, clean everything up, put my photos away. A lot of my stuff goes in another room, so I'm just gonna put everything in a pile to grab a hold of and to just kind of neatly tuck it away. But here we go. So cleanup is a super important part of, you know, any kind of art making. It's just, you know, to keep being sane and, you know, keeping a nice clean area. And if you got glue anywhere or anything of that sort, make sure you do wipe it down with some like Lysol wipes or something like that. Maybe have an adult help you. But it's super important that you keep things nice and clean. So yeah, I have everything ready to be put away. And yes, so there you have it. So I can't wait to see what everyone else has done or is going to do. If you have any ideas, just put them in the comments. We're really excited. Thanks for joining us this week. We had a lot of lovely lessons by some of our teachers this week, and we're really, really excited about you know, what we're doing. And hopefully next week you guys come back and, you know, learn to do more stuff. We're, you know, here on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and we have a wide variety of classes from 12, 1, and 2. So we're super pumped, and show us what you do. We're really excited. But yeah, my name is Miss Gabby. You can find us, you know, on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube at Community Arts Partnerships Detroit. You can Google it and you'll find us. So thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Really looking forward to seeing what everyone does.